Welcome to the No Horsing Around live stream, family time. Guys, we've had a little bit of change this week. Never would have expected this time last week when we were doing the live stream. Lo and behold, we're getting going. We're just kind of going through the middle of our day. And then, Steven, the news breaks. Sam Ehlinger will be the new starter for the Indianapolis Colts for the rest of the season, which is really a wow. Something that I did not expect to happen in season. I thought maybe, at the tail end, if the season didn't go the way it expected, but a lot to unpack, man. A lot to unpack on this. And we're going to spend some time when it comes to the Sam Ehlinger because I think he's deserved it, right? Like he's earned this job. He's earned the right to have a little bit of time on this live stream and just kind of get the interaction from the fan base. Really excited to hear what everyone else has to say. Before we hop right into it, just some initial thoughts, Steven.
I don't know. Like we talked the day that it happened, right? Like we were talking about it the day it happened. And I think I even sent out a tweet right before that was, or earlier in the day that was like, for those saying we shouldn't, why not? Like, and it got a ton of traction on Twitter, which kind of surprised me. I mean, you're talking like 350 likes, a lot of comments.
Yeah.
And like in the middle of that, the news hits that he's starting. I'm split. I know we're going to talk about it later. Like I've listened to a lot of things. I've listened to, Marcus Spears and Dan Orlovsky and Keyshawn Johnson and, Mike Greenberg, all these different people talk about it. I've kind of settled on how I feel about it. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'll say this much. I texted you, Zach, and I said, I am more excited for Sunday than I've been for a game since week one, just because and I'm not saying he's going to be great, but I don't know what to expect. And that's kind of cool.
And I'd say if you're Jim Irsay and you're, the Colts brass, so to speak, a mission accomplished just for that very statement that you just said. I'm excited, right? Like you literally went from a 24-hour window. The optics were, oh my gosh, like I just don't know how this football team ever gets it together, to, oh, we're excited. We have a new, young, fresh quarterback. So I'll just start right here when it comes to the Sam Ehlinger stuff. There's a lot to talk about. We can get in depth. We can go back and forth. Love the interaction from the folks. Wyatt's already in here. Bailey's got in here. Rob's hopped in like he always does. Want to get every conversation. Guys, even if you guys want to call in, you want to join this live stream, we've always invited people to do that. Just hit us up in the comments. Say, hey, I want to join. I want to call in. We can do video. We can do audio. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say, or we can just pop up your comments as well. So I'll start right here, okay? This is going to be a little bit long-winded, Steven, so just bear with me, but I'll just kind of go through my thought process, and I'm curious to hear your thought process after. First and foremost, it does a few different things for this franchise moving forward. A, it solidifies a real, true opportunity to see what Sam Ehlinger is all about. It's a 10-game sample size. It's not a situation where you're throwing him in there the last 3 or 4 games where the games don't matter. These games absolutely matter. You go 6-4 with Sam and have a little bit of luck. Maybe you back your way into the playoffs and get that 7th seed. On top of that, if he fails and he's not good, now you've got maybe a lifetime backup, but you know that you're in position to go ahead and you're going to draft a quarterback this coming draft. It's the right move. I know it feels a little bit icky on the side of Matt Ryan, who says all the right things, does all the right things, a consummate professional. I think we've probably seen Matt Ryan take his last snap in the NFL, definitely as a Colt. But I mean, that's kind of an odd, swift way to end your NFL career if that happens to be that way. I don't imagine anybody really being any buyers when it comes to the trade deadline here, unless there's some horrific injury that happens this Sunday, and they're just like, oh my gosh, we're scrambling to find somebody. That being said, there's so much unknown when it comes to Sam. There's just so much unknown. And I've heard a lot of comps, you know, and one of the big ones that I've heard is the Jalen Hurts comp, right? Like a lot of people like to. I don't think that's for me. That's probably not accurate in this regard. I think Jalen Hurts is a special athlete, and I also think in Sam's own right, he has the ability to be a special athlete as well. But I liken Sam a little bit more to like a Dak Prescott. A guy who can use his legs, definitely is a threat to run, definitely can extend plays, gain you first downs, move inside the pocket, wants to throw before he runs. The only reason I say maybe not so much like Jalen Hurts, he obviously is built like Jalen, right? He has, you know, he's just like a running back that's a quarterback. But Jalen has the ability to really turn it upfield and go for 70, 80 yards almost every play, really, if he wants to. You know what I mean? When it comes down to it, I don't think Sam's quite that explosive, but he's going to provide something different. There's no doubt about it. When it comes down to it, yeah, I mean, Eric points out a very good thing. I mean, you know, he and Mahomes trained together. It's pretty cool. You know, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. Expectations for him, I'll be honest with you, I have none. I have no expectations. I just don't know. I just don't know what you're going to get with that when it comes right down to it. And everybody's starting to kind of come in on these comments. We'll do our best to go through those. Just my initial thoughts there, Stephen, that the Colts have put themselves in a position one way or the other by making this move. They are going to find their quarterback of the future. Sam fails, you obviously are going to get a top 10 pick out of this. If he thrives, then you are just on cloud nine that you drafted a guy 2 years ago in the 6th round that ended up being your future starter. Lot to be unseen. What say you, Stephen Burton?
Yeah, so I mean, I sit in the same boat. I've heard a whole lot of, hey, they're waving the white flag on the season. I I don't see that. I look at it very similar to what you're saying. I feel like that it is a way to figure out one way or the other. That was, the tweet that I put out was saying, what's the worst that could happen? Sam does really well, and you've hit on this, what we've all dreamed for the last few years, which is a good franchise quarterback on a rookie deal, and a very small one because of where he was picked. Or, dude, he bottoms out and you get your top. I think right now they're projected at 7, depending on, like, in the draft. Some of the draft people have him projected to be at the 7th pick. So then you're sitting there and you're like, okay, now you're going to pick your quarterback. Sam bottomed out. Irsay's tired of it. We'll get into that too. But if he bottoms out, okay, you go get yourself, a Levis. You go get yourself a Hendon Hooker. I'm conveniently leaving out Bryce Young and CJ Stroud because I do truly believe they're going to go 1-2. And you look at the projections, it's what, Lions, Texans, they're both going to need them. So that's not happening. But you look at those ones. Me personally, I'm also very similar with you. My expectations are no expectations because I don't know what to expect from him. Obviously, on this show, we've been big fans of him. We've done videos about him, tempered ones of, like, where do we think his ceiling is. We did one earlier in the year of that. If you guys want to go back and check that out, we kind of laid it to you guys on where do we think his ceiling is. And a lot of people were kind of in between. But I would love for him to hit. You hear all the stuff about his character. He said all the right things today.
Yeah.
Dude, I will say, like, listening to Matt Ryan talk today, first of all, what a professional. What an amazing professional. Because I think Kiefer said he was sitting at his locker like he would normally, waiting for them, knowing what the questions were going to be, and being like 4 lockers down from Ehlinger, right? So, I mean, what a professional, the way he's gone about it. I do also agree. I think he will not play another snap for the Colts. You hear a lot about the injury clause and things like that too, but I think he's done. Now, flipping it, I also think this is 100% an Irsay move in regards to, he told them this is what's going to happen. I want to see what he has, because I think, and drop it in the chat, Zach, you correct me if I'm wrong too with this, is I feel like someone said, it may have been Kiefer, it may have been Kevin Bowen, that rumor was Irsay was good, that supposedly they were good to roll with Ehlinger prior to Matt Ryan. There had the thought that had been floated that they were possibly okay with that, and then Matt Ryan just kind of happened.
Yeah, I think who really knows what goes on behind those closed doors, but you are 100% right and accurate in saying this was a Jim Irsay move. Those three people, three being Chris Ballard, Frank Wright, and Jim Irsay, got into a room, and make no mistakes about it. That vote was one of one. You know, that wasn't an ask. That was I'm telling you, as your owner, as the man who writes everybody the checks each and every week, we are going to figure this quarterback situation out, and we're going to find out what we got in Sam. If we don't have anything, we're going to draft a quarterback. I'm done. You know, he drew his line in the sand. I don't think we are waving the white flag. Our coaching staff's waving the white flag. That being said, I think Jim said enough's enough, you know, and I don't know how that plays into the jobs that are on the line down the future. I don't know how all of that goes about, but right now, Jim is taking control of this football team in the middle of the season. And when he walked out of you know, that football game in Tennessee, there was a different look on his face. He didn't want to talk, and I think he was just it was just all right there, just written on his face without saying one word. He just had enough when it comes down to it.
I agree. Oh, I'll let
read
you
it,
read it.
Steven. Read it out.
This is from one of the first ladies of No Horsing right here. As a Colts fan, it's hard to have yet another quarterback, but Irsay's listening and making moves, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Sam can do, which you guys will be seeing that in first person, correct? You guys will be at the game on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you get to see it first person view.
I never would have dreamed I'd be sitting there for Sam Ehlinger's first game. AO says Sam is a franchise guy. So AO's got a big, lofty goals for him. You know, Steven, I've listened to tons of content, and the overwhelming sentiment with Sam is I think most people don't see Sam as being the long-term answer. I really don't. I think they see him as more of a backup, and rightfully so. You know, let's be fair. He was a 6th-round pick for a reason. Lots of teams passed on him. That being said, he made the room. He made the improvements. I don't worry about Sam right here a whole lot, though. I like that part about his game. The mobility is going to help in some of those oh shit moments, is what I call them. Like, oh my gosh, like, you know, for the 15th time in this game, Matt Pryor decided to let the guy walk right by him, you know, and he's right down my throat. He at least has that escapability. Should be a breath of fresh air, but at the end of the day, he's still a second-year guy playing his first NFL game, taking his first NFL snaps. There are going to be some plays that you're like, what in the hell was he thinking? And then there's probably going to be some plays you're like, wow, that was cool. That was special. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't seen that before, you know. And if he could piece it all together in this 10-game stretch, then maybe you got something. The thing I like, though, is they starting him at home against in a winnable situation. You're not, you know, it'd be really hard, you know, if you bring him in there first game against the Philadelphia Eagles, you know, a really hard opponent. You're giving him a winnable football game. He just has to play within himself. That offensive line has not been fixed. It's not getting better, but he may buy himself a little more time when it comes right down to it.
Well, and that's the interesting thing that I've thought about too with it when you're talking about it with him is the mobility. You know, we talked about comps, and I've definitely heard the comp and of Jalen Hurts. That's one that we've all heard. I think for any of our people who are watching or listening who live in Indiana, you know, Jim Nagy was on Dan Dockich today. That's the guy, that's the head of the Senior Bowl. And he's the one who kind of pushed that comp today, that he felt, push come to shove. He didn't really want to do it, but he gave the comp of Jalen Hurts. I've heard Dak Prescott too. It sounds weird, but Tyler Heinicke sticks out in my head a little bit with him too, kind of that and the intangibles with it. I don't know what to think. I'm interested to see, because I feel like there's a chance what we see offensive-wise is different than anything we have ever seen, because I think this is the most mobile quarterback Frank has ever had.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see with Jonathan Taylor, Naheem Hines, Deion Jackson, the speed, like Paris Campbell, Alec, Michael, Pittman, what it looks like. What kind of I'm interested to see what kind of running attack they try to do, because you have that mobile quarterback. We know RPOs are going to be back, right? We know that's going to be a big thing. I'm really interested. And then I was looking at the chat. I wanted to jump back up to
Let's get through the last 5 or 6, because I want to shout out Paul Wilson. He's in Orlando. Super cool.
There you go. Hey, go Magic, man. They're 0-4.
Definitely cool to have you here. Let's get through some of them. I know you want to go up. I want to give a shout out to Frank Cook. Sam needs to be good enough to draft this O-line in the first round. Frankie, you're probably not wrong on that. That would be super cool. I mean, just think about the luxury that would be, Steven, if we have a guy still on 2 years of his rookie deal and we can go out there and really kind of help build around him. You go ahead. It's
going to be the question that I have for you with that. I have a question.
All right, you get to those comments, and then let's throw it out there.
Let's see. So let's see. Oh, line. Sorry. Wyatt always bringing great comments. There were very good reasons the Colts went with 3 QBs. They then elevated Sam to 2. This move was inevitable should Ryan fail, which sadly he did. Embrace the Sam Ehlinger era. Couldn't agree more.
We're embracing it, brother. Bring it on.
And I think people are, but at the same time, like, we'll get to it. I have a big issue of something I've seen a lot lately. AO, love AO. I don't think Sam is going to be a scramble first QB.
Yeah.
Feel he's going to implement pocket passing techniques before scrambling. I'm going to disagree.
Also, shout out to AO, first person ever to join, to donate to this podcast. If you guys want to, make a donation, $1.99, $2.99, $3.99, that gets you that family membership. Super cool, man. Helping out the chat helps us keep going. We love doing these things with you guys, and if you want to do that, great. If not, we still love you being around and being a part of this podcast. AO, salute to you, my brother. Yeah, I mean, I think Sam's going to be fairly accurate. I think that's going to be one thing that's going to be nice. They're going to have to build an offense to cater to him a little bit, and that RPO stuff is going to be really interesting. You'd have to think that's going to help out with the running game a little bit as far as Jonathan Taylor or whoever's back there. Expect a lot of shorter intermediate routes. But I think Sam quickly catches on if he does well. And I think they're going to have to challenge people down the field, because right now they just don't respect the deep ball at all. It's just not a thing. Teams, it's very clear. Titans 32nd rank against the pass. They didn't care. They said, we're going to play up to the 20-yard line, and that's it, man. There's my best friend here. Should I order my Sam Ehlinger jersey yet? I'll say no, Corey, because the last few times that you ordered a quarterback jersey, it's not gone well for us.
Hey, I'll tell him yes, because no matter what, Ehlinger will be the backup.
I'll say hold off on that for just a second. By the way, me and Corey will be at that game this weekend. It will be amazing. We're going to be screaming our brains out for number 4 as he runs out of that tunnel. Tanner Black. I think we got somebody from Utah, man. Shout out to Utah. Super pumped to see Sam go on Sunday. All the talk benching Matt Ryan. I just hope he can ignore the noise and ball out. I have a lot of faith in him. Tanner, what do you have faith in Sam about? We'd love to hear that and give you a shout out here as well. Also, a family member, Spooks Hill, on here. he's going to go ahead and say, I'm thinking on an Ehlinger jersey too. What do you say, guys? Ehlinger gets that win. We just take a round and we just buy some jerseys. You know what I mean? Let's all just pile on and get those number 4 jerseys and celebrate with a big victory. Hopefully, Steven, in the instant reaction, we're talking about Sam playing out of his mind, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is going on. I tell you, it's going to be cool. It's going to be different. I think we have a little bit of this. There's no real NFL game film on him, so it's really going to be a different way of preparing for him. Let's not forget this Washington Redskins defense has a very formidable front 4, though. I mean, they can get to the quarterback against anybody, much less a team who's just not blocked well. And I really hate the idea of Matt Pryor going out there and being your starting right guard. I'm kind of hoping they secretly slide somebody else in there. Who knows, man? We've said it here on this pod the last 4 weeks. Maybe little Danny goes back out there, man. You know what I mean? Maybe you throw little Danny back out there. He wasn't great. There's no doubt about it, but you gotta hope you can do something. Hey, Van Kemp, man, thank you for hopping on. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, go over and listen to the Toss and Horseshoes podcast, friend of our show. By the way, we need to get him back on. I mean,
yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, also, if any of you guys want to jump on this tonight, you want to call in, you want to be a part of this show, interactive, let us know in the comments. Steven and I will make sure that we get that link sent out to you to hop on. That way you can just be a part of this all the way. You won't even have to comment. You can just jump on there. Video or audio is available. What say you, Steven?
I mean, it's all, you know, you're all kind of flustered a little bit when it comes to it. But one of the comments too that was up top a little bit, our boy Robert, that I wanted to touch back on, right?
Okay.
Was the idea that's being perpetuated out there that the Colts lied to Matt Ryan, right? Like, there it is. Colts lied to us fans and to Matt Ryan before he got here about the offensive line. That's what I read on Google. You know, that's Robert, and that's not, I know that's not Robert's take, but I want to address that real quick. They didn't lie to him. Now, at the same time, they completely misread what their team was, right? They completely did not have a bead and a pulse on what that looked like. So I don't think they lied to him, but they definitely, I would agree with Frank. They didn't hold up their end of the bargain, but at the same time, Matt Ryan didn't either. 9 picks, 9 touchdowns, 11 fumbles.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't hold up his end of the bargain. And I really like Matt Ryan. Now, I know everyone knows that I think me and Zach both had to be kind of talked into Matt Ryan a little bit when they went out and got him. 2 years ago, everyone knows me and Zach, massive fans of Justin Fields, right? That's who we really wanted 2 years ago when we went and got Carson Wentz. But the idea that they lied to him, I don't think that's the case. I think they had a misread on what their offense is. Now, I'm interested. The O-line, I don't know how it is what it is. Is it possible that the mobile quarterback that can help with that? I think so. I think, you know, God forbid we say his name, but Carson Wentz, with his mobility last year, I think that saved a lot of sacks too, because the ability to get out on the edge and get rid of the ball, right?
Yeah.
Just get out and get rid of it is a big thing too. So, I mean, all the talk the entire week is going to be about Ehlinger. From what I've heard, he can handle that. Now, I think everyone watched him at Texas, and we saw kind of his ability to play in those big games. But, I mean, I'm interested to see what happens. I agree with you so much on, and this was a take that me and you had, was if you were going to make the move, this was the time too, because you've got a very winnable game against the Commanders. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, a very winnable game against, I believe it's the Patriots after that. Am I wrong? Is it the Patriots?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
I mean, I think those are 2 winnable games for him. Now, my question for the chat in regards to Ehlinger, and then we'll kind of go through some more of the comments, is what does he have to show you in the last 10 games? Is it a matter of just wins and losses? What does he have to show to where you're like, okay, do we roll with him?
Well, I think he has to show you a couple things. It's a great question, by the way. I think first of all, he has to show you that the moment's not too big for him. Ultimately, he has to put you in position to win football games, and you know, 6-4 for me would probably be enough for me to want to go ahead and give him a second season. If I'm being honest, like 6-4 with good play, that's that's not bad. And if you're winning 60% of your football games your very first season, I know last year, Hurts slid in the playoffs last year, and then look at the jump that he made year two. I mean, it's just a monumental jump. There's got to be something there, though. He's got to show an ability to make plays when it counts. I don't know if you can really put a number on it, though. It's real hard. It's the eye test. Can his style of football translate into winning football games? And I think you're going to know pretty quickly. I really do. I think you'll find out early on in this if the moment's too big for him or if it's not. And we'll see. We'll see. Paul says, leadership and improvement each game. That's what he's looking for with the young QB. We don't have to win for me, just improve and learns in each week.
I got a follow up. I got a follow up for you, Zach, and for everybody else. 6-4. Let's say he goes 6-4 and he shows those things. Who's his coach next year? Do you think 6-4 saves Frank's job if he looks good? Or do you think – because for me, the comp goes even further with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts showed something, right? When he took over for Carson that first year, Doug Peterson still got fired, right? And then they brought in Sirianni to start, right? Is it the same kind of thing to where maybe you see something, but Frank's still out the door? And then if he hits, how does that change everyone's perspective on Ballard? That he hits on a 6th round quarterback.
Okay. So
how much does it blow Ballard's head?
I'm going to answer this question backwards.
Okay.
Changes my opinion on Ballard, not whatsoever. Okay. So at all, I'm not just going to wake up and think like, okay, oh my gosh, like Ballard's this genius all of a sudden. He's had a lot of swings at the quarterback position. He's not been right but one time. I got to give him credit for Phillip Rivers. I thought Phillip was fine. I'm not going to just sit there and just neglect that. But I think we're not going to get heavy into Ballard on this one. I think everybody knows how I feel about the way he's built this roster. It's not been good enough, and he should be held, in my opinion, more accountable than anybody. If we make the playoffs and we're competitive, I think Frank survives. If we make the playoffs and we just play bad, like it's just we're not prepared, like a Jacksonville game, how we ended our season last year, I still think Frank's gone. Like it's got to be a strong showing, and I think Steven, we've had conversations off the record before. I've got a pretty decent relationship with some people in the know, and the way it's been explained to me is it's going to be really hard for Frank to continue to be the head coach of this football team. Like, not easy. The sentiment is that Ballard's going to get one more year. Now, the truth is we really don't know because we woke up Monday morning not having any idea that Sam Ehlinger was going to be the quarterback, for the rest of the year. So those things can change. We'll just have to see, man.
Well, and that's the interesting thing that I think of too when it comes to that is what does it do, right? Because I also look around and I go, if he has a great run, does it change what he is with Frank, right? I mean, I think one of the worst contracts right now for a head coach, I think Zach Taylor's garbage as a head coach. He has Joe Burrow. That's great. But you kind of saw what he was. Joe Burrow saves him, and I think it's a slave to the moment. They went to the Super Bowl, and you gave him a big new contract. And I like Frank. I like Frank a lot. But I think the saving thing, I think, is going to be I think if they make the playoffs, I think he stays. Only because he'll have made it with Ehlinger. That means Ehlinger has played well, more than likely, and he's developed. And Irsay and Ballard are going to potentially look at it like, do you want to disrupt the continuity that Sam has in the offense? Right? Do you want to give him a whole nother offseason as QB1 with Frank? I think it's we can sit here, me and you sit here off the record all the time and talk about it. It's so much more complicated than just fire everybody. That's why we never say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Tyrell definitely thinks Frank should be out the door. We love Tyrell on here, by the way. He don't hold nothing back. And we ask that you guys don't hold anything back either. I think it's a package deal for him and Sam, if I'm being honest. Sam does well, Frank has a job. Sam does bad, Frank probably doesn't have a job when it comes down to it. And I think either you start fresh, Stephen, and you get rid of your general manager and your head coach, or you keep them both. I mean, I just think it's that simple. It's a hard sell for me if I'm a head coach coming in with a general manager who's already on the hot seat. So I don't know who's going to be my general manager, moving forward. It's really hard to sell a coach. You say you go out and want to get a guy like a Sean Payton. That's not going to happen with Sean Payton. He wants to be steady. He wants to know he has, a real opportunity to really dig in and do something as far as that goes. Get to this comment here. Easy baby. I knew when they brought the same thing the other week. Ryan played like crap. He was getting benched. I thought they were going to bench him at halftime at the Tennessee game. Probably should have.
We talked about it. Me and you talked about it during the game.
Probably should have. Frank says Sam comes back as a starter unless we drop. So far, the top 3 quarterback is our pick, but I want to be happy with their offense unless to try Hines at H-back with Taylor. Tyler Bell says we aren't making the playoffs. Winning teams don't do what we are doing. We'll see. Paul Wilson, it's definitely came from Irsay. Frank would have put foot in Foles. Ugh.
I don't think he would have, only because Frank loves Foles, and Foles would die behind this offensive line. Like he's a sitting duck too.
It's more of the same.
It wouldn't have. It would. And I do think it came from Irsay. Hey, I got one up here too. This is a great question. This is the national media says this all the time. Can we really judge Frank when he's had 7 different quarterbacks and not one has been here more than a year? It's a great question. It's what everybody always brings up. It's not the 7 different quarterbacks, I think, is what like myself and Zach talk about. It's the lack of preparedness. It's the lack of getting the team up for big games that you have to have. That's got nothing to do with the quarterback. Because the other part, too, is he schemed until this year. He has schemed a top 10 offense every year he's been here with those quarterbacks. Even with Carson. I think Carson was like 10. But we like Phillip, we were way up with Phillip. Jacoby was low, but he has schemed really good offenses. But it's the head coaching things that we have the issue with, not the quarterbacks. That's not on him. I mean, Carson is, but the rest isn't.
I think it's the lack of having the players ready in those big moments. I think that really frustrates fans. But I'll just tell you this. He does the best with what he has on the field. And I just think Ballard's just not done a good enough job of building a full team. Now, he's done a great job in the draft. He's hit on players, no doubt. Can't question that. But, you let 2 guards who were very, consistent in your offense last year and your run game in particular. I mean, you had a great year in the run game, and you let Chris Reed and you let Glowinski both go, and you gave the job to Danny Pinter. I mean, that's exactly what you did. You preach competition all the time, but you just gave the job to him. Gave the job to Matt Pryor. And now you got to deal with that, and that's why I feel like he needs to be held accountable, in my opinion.
Well, do you know who I think of the most when it comes to this too? Like there's one glaring example that comes in my head when I think of Reich and Ballard. And I don't know if this is what's going to happen. I think of the Minnesota Vikings, right? with Zimmer and I can't remember their GM's name.
Spielman.
They were there forever, and they were good but never great. They made the playoffs sometimes, but they didn't really win the division. They had the consistent quarterback, but they blew that up. They blew it up after last year. Fired them both, and it was a very well-respected GM, right? And Zimmer was well-respected. Fired them both, and they're leading the division this year, right? It was just needed was a reboot. There's a chance that's the case. I'm going to live in the moment. I'm going to just watch the next 10 weeks and see what the hell happens.
Yeah. Because all of this is for nothing if we end up doing really, really well or if we end up doing really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the flip side of this is if Sam comes out and he just cannot get it done, then they probably do both go.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably do it at that point. And who knows at this point, who knows what Jim's really thinking? I mean, if I'm being honest, who knows what Jim's really thinking? But I do know one thing that he is thinking. Look at that. Tanner Black, new member. Look at that.
There you go. Thank you, man.
Man, that is super, super cool. Tanner.
Hey, don't let him be the only one, you guys. Don't let him be the only one. Don't leave him lonely. If you've been knocking it around, thinking about it,
he's doing his books, man. I mean, it's pretty cool. Okay. So, like we always do, it's tradition on the No Horsing Around. If you become a member, you take over the chat. Look at this. Paul jumping in.
Loving y'all tonight, man.
Oh, you guys are killing it. Tanner, you're taking over the chat. Next topic is going to be delivered by Tanner. So you just hop it up there, Tanner. We'll wait for that to come in. Then next topic will be up by Paul Wilson. So we'll just kind of hang tight here. I'll get a quick swig of water and we'll see what Tanner wants to talk about.
Hey, why he types it out. I got one other fun question for you. Why he types that out.
Cool.
If Ballard was less smug, would you have as big an issue with him? If he was less cocky, smug with his responses to misses and common questions, would you have less of an issue?
Well, no, because I think that's what it's tied into. I think it's the arrogance of saying, I don't have a problem with people making mistakes. I have a big problem with people not being accountable for those mistakes. Like, it's inevitable, and it's easy for you and I to sit here and criticize every single move that was made. We're going to be wrong. We've already been wrong hundreds of times since we've been doing this on predictions and things like that. But if we don't come on here and we don't own that and we don't take accountability for that, then we lose credibility, right? And at some point, he's got to take accountability and he's got to look at himself in the mirror and he's got to say to himself, what I'm doing right now, currently right now, has led my football team to this position. And that's a problem. And I don't think he believes that. I think he truly, in his heart, Stephen, believes he has built a championship football team, and this is not his fault. I believe it 100%. And because if he didn't believe it, then that would just make him a moron because he continues to do the same exact thing over and over and over again. So I have to believe that he believes in what he's doing, and he's doing it, what he thinks is the right way, which is clearly not getting the results. And this season is just a microcosm of Chris Ballard. His record's been average since he's been here. And right now, we are basically at the same exact spot that we were when he took over. I mean, we're not any further or any more behind. We're just right there in the middle of the pack like we always are. So that was long-winded, but probably not. Probably not.
We've talked about, you have to be cocky, you have to be full of yourself, you have to be arrogant to do what he does, right? You have to think your decisions are the correct ones. So I get that. I think sometimes it's his smugness that he comes across with, like laughing at common questions. I think that rubs some of the people the wrong way. So, I mean, I was just curious. So let's get to Tanner's question as the newest member. Y'all want to drop your questions in too? You could just hit that membership.
Oh, man. You're up next. Go ahead and hit us with the next comment. We were already talking about it, but offensive line, Matt Pryor has been the worst offensive lineman in the league. How do we shore up the line realistically. I'll tell you what I would do. I would look under every single rock on this planet Earth to find somebody that can at least just be above average. Like I'm not going to find great, not at this point in the season. I want to find someone who is just good enough to get me through and solidify this line and stop the leaks. It's a lot like, we're in a boat in the river and we've got 6 holes in the boat and we've only got 5 fingers. So we've just got water coming in from everywhere. And I don't know what you do, Tanner, with this offensive line with who you have on your team. But you try everything. And I know they already pretty much have, which tells me I would probably go and this is another thing that would take a lot of pride. Minnesota Vikings have had Chris Reed inactive many, many times this year. I'd throw a 6th-round pick for Chris Reed right now. He's on a 2-year deal, very affordable. Doesn't have to learn anything about this offense. He already knows it. There's nothing to teach. He fits right in. I do it. I can never in a million years see Chris Ballard ever admitting he was wrong. But I think that would be where I would start, if you ask me.
Yeah, because I was listening and they were talking about this with the O-line, right? Is that the big question with the O-line is, can you bring someone in right now, gel, and it actually make a difference? One of the names that's been floated out there that it's a name that I like. I mean, Andre Dillard, that's been floated. The Eagles are floating the idea of trading him. You have a relationship with the Eagles. You have a really good relationship with the Eagles, right? Like, we've made multiple trades with them.
And they need draft picks back.
They need draft picks back.
Everybody. And news is they're not done, Steven.
I mean,
they're after Alvin Kamara right now. And
I haven't heard that one.
I'm going to tell you, when that GM is motivated to get his player, he gets his player. I mean,
and that's the thing with that GM too. He was on the hot seat 2 years ago because of the way he did things, right? And he changed. And now you look at what they've done. Now he also hit on a young, inexpensive quarterback. That's the stuff. I mean, I love the Chris Reed one because you're right. He's probably the only option that you could plug and play right away. But I don't see Ballard doing that. I don't. I don't see him being like, hey, I messed up. We all know, like, the biggest mess up we see it 2 times a year is letting Autry walk, and he'll never admit that he messed up, but he messed up. Dude, he shit the bed big time on that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's rough. But at the same time, I mean, you got to roll with what you got to roll with, at this point. Miguel hopes Sam really lights it up, man. Miguel, I hope you're right. I hope Sam comes out there. You got to root for the kid.
Goat stature is back in his comment is fantastic. Oh man, I wanted to see Carson beat the Colts in Irsay's face. I think there's probably sentiment to that. I think a lot of people wanted him gone, but I think it's the battle of neither quarterback has worked out for either of those teams.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
can we all but at the same time, hey, everybody in the chat, all members of Colts Nation, pray for a quick recovery for Carson Wentz, because you want him back after 4 games, because he needs to be back if you want that 2nd-round pick.
Everybody needs to root for GOAT's favorite quarterback in the NFL, Carson Wentz, to get healthy. 4 weeks out, straight back out there and let him play.
The max is he has to be back after 4 weeks, or we won't hit that 70%.
Yep, 100%. Sam Balls at Texas, he didn't turn the ball over. He threw for 300 passes without an interception.
I like that.
You better be knocking on wood over there, easy, man. I mean, you better be knocking on wood. What does Paulie say? If Sam is just average with the way the defense is playing, we could be decent. We could win a decent amount of games. Hey, our defense has been pretty good. We should talk about them here in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I think our defense has been pretty solid.
Can we say something? Can I say something about that, Zach?
Yeah.
That's another thing that irritates me when you watch this and you watch all the stuff. It's family time, you guys. This is when we air out. Because we've both all Colts Nation is consuming a lot of national media because we're being talked about a ton right now because of this move. I'm hearing like Louis Riddick and Keyshawn being like, well, the O-line hasn't played up, the offense and the defense hasn't played. I feel like no one watches a damn Colts game because the defense has played you lost a game where you didn't allow offensive touchdown as the defense. Like the defense just has to continue doing what they do, which leads me to one more thing. And I want to get another thing that I just want to make sure I get to is the issue with people saying that we've waved the white flag, and now you see a lot of people coming out saying trade these. I want to trade these players. I want to trade Shaq. I want to trade JT. I want to look at Michael Pittman Jr. Like I want to get rid of Stephon Gilmore. We're 3-3-1 still. They're not doing a fire sale. They're like, I don't think. I could be wrong. I could wake up tomorrow and they've traded Darius Leonard. I'd be shocked.
I think certain players could be talked about on this football team, and then certain are probably untouchable, when it comes right down to it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I doubt it because Ballard just never has been active either way. I would look at us being more sellers than buyers when it comes to this, but we'll just have to see. I mean, we'll just that'll be kind of a cool hot topic that we'll talk about, and we'll hit on that probably Monday as free agency ends on Tuesday. We'll get into that, probably get into something, and kind of talk just about that free agency market. If there even is a free agency market, hopefully we're celebrating a Colts win against the Commanders. Guys, it was really cool. We've had a cool moment on here. We've been doing this, for 47 minutes. We've had two people, throw some weight around. We've had a new family member as well. If you guys want to help support the show, we do have that out there. $1.99, $2.99, $4.99. I don't care. 49 cents, 59 cents. It doesn't matter. It means a lot to us when you help us out, man. And that's pretty cool. So super thankful for that. I just don't want to let that get overlooked tonight. Pretty cool stuff. Domo's back in the building. Going to the game this Sunday to witness Sam's first win. I'll be there, Domo. I mean, I will be right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you take over. Read some comments, brother.
So Corey brings another Shaq sighting today in practice and was a full participant, which in turn means he will probably be ruled out again this weekend by Saturday. I'll tell you this. It seems to me like it's a very odd situation. I'm going to say it. It's Andrew Luck-esque when it comes to I'm curious what actually is going on because it's very weird that he's been full participant for numerous weeks now.
Yeah.
And has been a scratch. I really think there's a chance that he wasn't 100%. That I think he thinks he was. Maybe the team is holding him, waiting for him to actually get to that point. But it's a very, very odd situation. I think I've heard that, Darius, when Darius is an all-pro and Shaq hasn't come in the building yet. Hey, be mindful too what you say on Twitter because Shaq is keeping receipts on everybody who is doubting him as well as the Colts right now.
Yeah, I mean,
there it is. There it is. Darius was a beast, but the Shaq fella's kind of soft. I'm going to disagree. Like, and that it's just, and I love Shaq. I mean, I know he came back. I think he came back early. He had back surgery, you guys. Like that was something me and Zach talked a lot about leading into the season. That's man, if I had back surgery, I wouldn't be playing full contact sports in 6 weeks. I wouldn't be getting off the couch.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. The only thing I would say to that is if you can't play, just don't play. Like I think this weird week in and week out where you're going out there and you're practicing, but you're still not playing. It's all too confusing to the fans. If you need to shut it down for the year and you need to get healthy, do it. Do it. But stop this back and forth. It's just a weird. It's so weird, man. I just don't understand it. You almost feel like it's a little bit more mental than anything. Perhaps he should have waited till June to have the surgery.
I don't think they knew what it was, truthfully, what he needed. It started as an ankle, then it went to the back, and I mean it is what it is. You have the surgery when you realize you have to have the surgery, and that's just how it is. And
Yeah,
it's not necessarily the back, you know, it's the concussion, it's the broken nose, which I think he let a little bit more information that his face mask actually got caved in to his face on that play,
yeah. By
and
his
so
own
it broke
player.
his nose.
Yeah, by his own player, which is a real unfortunate thing that happened, man. I mean, it really is. And Steven, it's kind of cool. We're over 50 minutes on this live stream, and we've basically talked about Sam Ehlinger the whole time, which we knew we would. It's why we didn't really do a podcast on Sam. We did that quick short that you did a great job of getting that out. But it's an exciting time to be a Colt. And either way, guys, look at this as a positive either way, because here's what's going to happen. Either you're going to find your quarterback of the future and you're going to hit gold, or you're going to draft the quarterback of your future. So this is the start of the change that's needed really to be done for a very, very long time. So this is a good thing. I don't look at this in any other way other than a very, very good thing. Should be interesting. Let's get through some of these comments, Stephen, before we hop off here in a bit.
Well, we definitely want to get because we've talked so much about Ehlinger. We're going to take like the last however long. We're probably going to go a little over an hour, like right over it. But we're going to take like the last 5 minutes, let's say, and we'll actually give our predictions for the game this weekend. We'll touch on the Commanders. I promise.
We'll sprinkle that in a little bit.
There's just too much goodness,
Yeah, for sure. Nate says he wants to stand with Sam. That's pretty cool. Here's what I expect. Okay. As I'm losing my voice on a Wednesday night, as I've been getting over a cold for about the last week, I think Sam is going to provide a spark. I think he's going to play within himself. I think he's going to try to protect the football and make just not a lot of mistakes. I do think as the game goes along, he's going to have to push the football down the football field to earn the respect of those defensive backs. Teams have been able to throw on the Commanders a little bit this year. That front four is tough, man. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They have a tough front four. And when you got an aggressive guy like a Jack Del Rio, he's going to dial it up, man. He's going to come for you. And if you don't have a good game plan, it could be a long day. So those legs will be using. And love this dude. I was wanting to give Sam a chance before Ryan remotely reality, so I'm excited to see him. Yeah, if he plays a fraction he did in the preseason, and we're going to be screaming our brains out Sunday if he plays like that, because that dude was balling, 50-yard touchdown run. Sign me up. I'll take it.
You were at the game. He was coming to your end zone. We got a great video of that.
I did get a great video of that.
That was a great video, man. It's on, for anyone curious, it's on the channel. Go check it out.
Yeah, it is on the channel. Go watch that little 50-yard run. Thought that was super cool.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got what? I love this one. Easy, baby, easy. Sam scores on the first drive. I mean, it would be, hey, can Sam score in the first quarter?
Twitter's going to melt if he scores on that. If he just goes right down the field and scores on that first drive, I mean,
Twitter will evaporate. Colts Twitter will explode if Sam balls out. I mean, even though it's against and you know what? My prediction for Sam, we'll do the game prediction, but you gave what you thought. I'm similar. I see them mixing it up with the runs. I see the potential that the O-line looks a little bit better because I think he's going to evade some sacks. I see I hate to put like an exact number, but I think there's a chance of I think he's going to get a rushing touchdown. I do think that, but I think it could be something like they're inside the 3, they roll him out and he just takes it in. something like that you couldn't do with Ryan. I see something like that. My heart of heart, I'd love for him to come out and be like 250, 2 passing and a rushing, and just Twitter explode. And people are like, oh my God. But I don't know. I just want to win. And I just want to see
just win, baby.
Something. I want to see something from the offense. I feel like if the offense can put 24 to 28 points on the board, our defense will make sure that we win the game. Yeah. The rest of the season. If you can put points, the defense can hold these teams and you can win. Now, I'm not going to predict any of that. I'm not going to do that yet.
I'm 2017 Indianapolis Colts at home against a team who's not that great. I'm calling for a Chase McLaughlin walk-off field goal to win this game.
Ooh, you would love that, wouldn't you?
You're at the game. Right out there and just punch that bad boy right through to walk right off and win that football game in Sam's first start. Hey, man, I look forward to it. I really do. We'll see. Tanner thinks we're going to have an Air Force offense going to go out there and play. Easy Baby's 24-17. Guys, get your predictions up before we go off here.
I want to ask a question to I can't pronounce it. Basil Fallati 241. I always ask this because I'm always curious when we get more comments that are very critical. Are you a Colts fan? I've asked people. We asked Tyrell that, and he was like, "Absolutely, I'm just critical," and that's fine. I'm just curious if you are a Colts fan, because we get fans from all the different teams. Hell, I mean, we get Titans fans bomb us all the time. They'll go away now. Absolutely, I love it. Hey, you are always welcome here, and your criticism is always allowed. Okay.
Exactly. Hirsch is not a Chris Ballard fan. I mean, it's pretty fair to see as far as that goes. Dumo's up there. He's going 23-16 Colts. Paulie's over here going, let's see. Oh, it just hopped off of me. Quan went 23-14. Tanner went 24-21. Daniel goes 27-10. We got a lot of Colts predictions right now. J2 gets 2 TDs and Sam gets 1.
Hey, do you notice that the score has gone down on our? No one's predicting like 34-10 anymore.
Yeah. Gabriel says that the offense won't look anemic. I mean, that's kind of the sentiment of the Colts. Deep Blue says Ballard's going to get the tough Ryan questions at the preseason presser. No one's going to forget. I would agree. Corey Lampkin's coming in with a nice 28-10, 2 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown. Brother, that would be unreal, unbelievable. Should be fun, Steven.
Corey stole my prediction. I'm going to go I was going to go 28-13, I think, is my prediction on the game. I think we're going to put some points up because I also don't think the Commanders have a stellar offense when it comes to how they operate. They do have Heinicke. He's similar. He's shifty. And I wanted to touch one thing. Deep Blue Tracker talking about the postseason presser. Someone much earlier, and I'm so sorry because we're getting here near the end, and I can't go back up there and dig. Someone asked about where Ballard's presser was. He does no in-season press. He'll do his end of the season one. He's not avoiding anybody. He never, in his entire time here, he's never done press in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's not gonna get into all of that, especially when you're in the middle of the season like we are right now. Where things have not gone quite the way that you want them to go. Should be fun. I always like to take this time here towards getting around an hour on the live stream. Steven and I, just a super big thank you to you guys, man. We've asked so many people to join this family, use your voice. During this season, we have met so many new people, which has just been unbelievable. Our family's getting bigger as we approach 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Help us get there. If you haven't joined the family, do that. If you have, share it and spread the word. we're just two guys lucky enough to use our voices as your voice, and get to, we just keep building and we keep growing as the season goes along. And we're just grateful, man. I mean, I never want to lose sight. We always try our best to interact, comment, on all of our videos. Hit that alert button as you get all of our alerts as well. Steven, this season's been awesome. Colts Nation season hasn't went exactly the way we thought it would, but I'll tell you this. The fan base is unbelievable. I mean, like they have just come out, they've shown up, and we've all gathered here every Wednesday night, 9:15, the whole season. You guys have just been killing it in the chat. You guys have been killing it all season long. So thank you so very much for being a part of this crazy project that Steve and I started about a year and a half ago in our second season. And hey, man, things are going great.
It's crazy sometimes. I mean, we sit back and I get geeked up. Zach was under the weather last week. We still do this. It's family time, man. It's time for us to talk with you guys. I think one of the cooler things for us is we see other fan bases, but now as we've grown, we've had people kind of come and talk to us and say like, hey, I've watched you guys grow. But as we've grown, we've also seen, hell, we got people in Orlando. We got a new family member in Utah, you guys. Like, Colts Nation is everywhere. The No Horsing family is everywhere now too. And that's really, really cool. Like, that's an amazing thing for us. Like I'm sure Zach's the same. I still get goosebumps, when we do these things and I see, the amount of people that come in that want to talk to us, that want to ask us questions, that want to hear us, just, I think Zach said at one time, just two bearded people just talking about the Colts who are 3-3-1,
Yeah. And
it is. It's really cool.
Loving every single second of this. And we want to just thank you, man, for letting us use our voices. Gorn, man, thank you for hopping in as you always do. AO, super, super nice comments.
Oh, wow. Now that's a big one. Did you see where Gordon's from? Canada via Macedonia. That's really cool.
I mean,
that's amazing, you guys.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, we worldwide. I mean,
we're worldwide, baby.
Hey, you know what? Send them out, man. I mean, how else can you end this show?
I got nothing, man.
No horsing around.
I got nothing.
We're worldwide. Steven, do the honors and send us out of this thing.
Listen, we say it every time. We always take the end. We always thank you guys. And really, like, we're excited. Like, it's kind of this new beginning to the season. We don't know what to expect. It's like having a new quarterback. Everyone's excited. Now, could that all come crashing down? Yeah, we'll see. But even if it does, I love you. Zach loves you. I think Ehlinger loves you. And hey, maybe Matthew McConaughey loves you and will show up on Sunday to hit the anvil. We're out.
You never know.